50 leaders looked me dead in the eye and told me their general manager was a jerk, a hypocrite, and an asshole. So I went and got him. Most leaders think they're good at receiving feedback, but they're not. They're good at surviving it, white-knuckling through it, nodding politely while their brain is already screaming to defend, deflect, or find the nearest exit. After 35 years of working with over 10,000 organizations, from Marriott to Wells Fargo to the U.S. Army to Lazy Boy, I can tell you the single biggest difference between good leaders and the elite ones. It's not strategy or intelligence. It's how they handle the moment when someone tells them something they don't want to hear. Today, I'm going to give you that exact framework I teach inside every organization I work with. 6 elements. Master these, and feedback stops being something you dread and starts being your most powerful leadership tool. But first, I put together a free feedback playbook. It covers the frameworks, the models, and the exact language you can use in real conversations. The link is in the description. Grab it now, because everything I'm about to walk you through is inside it. All right, let's get to it. Every leadership book, every workshop, every HR initiative focuses on the same thing: how to give feedback, how to frame it, how to deliver it, or the old no-no, how to sandwich it between 2 positives. I call that a poop sandwich. Don't do it. And look, I get why. Giving feedback is hard, but what nobody talks about is this. The best way to get good at giving feedback is to get good at receiving it. Because as a leader, you cannot expect from your team what you don't live yourself. They're watching everything you do. A quote of mine I use in most every training I run: leaders perpetuate the behaviors they demonstrate and the behaviors they tolerate. If you say you want a feedback culture, but if you get defensive every time someone gives you feedback, you don't have a feedback culture. And a feedback culture is a game changer. So how do you actually receive feedback well? It starts with one sentence. In every class I teach, I have the entire room repeat this out loud. All feedback is good feedback. People laugh every time, but here's why it matters. When someone starts to give you feedback, before they even finish their first sentence, your brain is already mounting a defense. It's manufacturing excuses, building a case for why they're wrong, scanning for an exit. That's not a character flaw. That's neuroscience. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is protect you. All feedback is good feedback is the override. It's your mindset anchor. It's what you say to yourself, not to them in that moment. It's what keeps you present and open instead of becoming the leader everyone's afraid to be honest with. I was in a long-term engagement with a large organization, monthly training with their senior leadership team. One day out of nowhere, the VP of Human Resources called me into her office. She'd never done this before, so my first thought, what did I do? She sat me down and said, Michael, 2 of the people in your class are worried that you don't like them. I said, why would they think that? They said, you were extremely intense. Now, she had specifically asked me to push harder with this group. Senior leaders, high stakes. So I did. Apparently too hard for some of them. In that moment, I had a choice. I could defend myself, explain that she was the one who asked me to push harder, or I could just receive it. I said, thank you for the feedback. We talked through the details, and I moved on. Next session, I opened by saying to the entire room, I received feedback that I was too intense. Thank you to those who shared it. You can always come to me directly. And if I get intense, it's because I want to make sure you can actually apply what we're learning. Half the room laughed, and they said they loved my intensity. But if I had gotten defensive, even slightly, I would have lost all credibility to teach the very skill I was there to develop. Now, here are the 6 elements on receiving feedback like an elite leader. Element number 1, be present and listen. Susan Scott wrote a book called Fierce Conversations. There's one line in it I've carried with me for years. Be here, prepared to be nowhere else. If your mind is on your next meeting, or you're rehearsing your defense, or you're just waiting for them to finish so you can talk, you're not actually there. And the person giving you that feedback can feel it. Everyone knows when you're truly present and when you truly listen. Stephen Covey called it Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. I was certified in the 7 Habits about 25 years ago in Sundance, Utah. A week-long immersive. After that program, I had a one-on-one conversation with Dr. Covey himself. I gave him feedback. I shared my thoughts on how Habit 6 could be positioned differently. The man was decades ahead of me, globally recognized, and he had every reason to dismiss what I had to say. Instead, he listened intently, summarized what I said, and asked clarifying questions. We both walked away with expanded perspectives. A person of that stature choosing to be fully present was someone who had a fraction of his experience. That stuck with me for the rest of my career. Element 2, mindset. And I'll just say it plainly, this is the one that makes or breaks everything else. If you're reactive going in, the conversation is over before it even starts. Same if you're defensive or already building an excuse in your head before they finish talking. You have to consciously choose your mindset before that moment even arrives. In my brain craves model, your brain craves 6 things: confidence, relationships, autonomy, values, ego, and safety. When feedback hits, ego usually fires first. Sometimes it's confidence, sometimes safety. What triggers for you, the move is the same. Recognize it. Understand it's just your brain doing its job. And then shift from reactive to receptive. Without that shift, the next 4 elements won't matter. Elements 3, 4, and 5 are part of a feedback shift model. SCR. Summarize, clarify, respond. Once you're present and your mindset is right, this is how you execute. Summarize first. After someone gives you feedback, before you respond or react, reflect the core message back to them. Not word for word, just the essence. It proves you actually listened, and it gives your brain a moment to settle so you don't slip back into that reaction mode. I learned this early in my career at Citibank. The very first course I went through wasn't a speaking course. It was a listening course. 5 days, 8 hours a day, 2 facilitators. Everything had to be summarized back to the extreme. Someone said they needed to use the restroom. You had to respond with, "What I'm hearing is that your bladder is in significant distress." Of course, this was extreme, but it was designed to drive home the point. And it worked. That was over 30 years ago, and I still summarize everything. Then clarify, ask questions, get specific, understand the why behind what they're telling me. Most people think asking questions is pushback. It's not. It keeps the dialogue open, and it shows the other person you generally want to understand, and you're not building a counter argument. Then respond. Not just thanks and walk away. What are you going to do differently? What changes? And then follow through on it. Because feedback without follow through is just a conversation that went nowhere. Element 6, gratitude. This is the one most leaders skip entirely. And I think it's because they think gratitude is awkward when your ego just took a hit. I was a featured keynote speaker at Revlon's 25th anniversary conference in New York City, 2 days in a row. Day 1, got a standing ovation, and I was riding high. That evening, I ran into someone I'd built a relationship over the years of working with Revlon. I asked him what he thought. I asked him for feedback. He looked at me and said, "Honestly, your presentation sucked." Standing ovation, and he's telling me it sucked? I could feel my ego and confidence both getting hit at the same time. And I could feel my brain starting to build the case. I caught myself. "All feedback is good feedback, Michael." Instead of reacting, I said, "Well, please explain what you didn't care for." He said, "Your delivery was exceptional. Your slides were terrible. All text, no images. They didn't match your energy at all." I thanked him genuinely. I stayed up all night redesigning every single slide for day 2. If I had pointed to the standing ovation as proof that he was wrong, I would have walked on that stage the next day with the same exact slides and never known. Back to the story I opened with. I was hired to train 50 key leaders at the Marina del Rey Marriott near Santa Monica, California. All departments were represented on the topics of communication, customer service, and creating a feedback culture. We got to the feedback portion, and I told the room, we are not doing role play. We're going to engage in real play, real scenarios, real feedback, because the brain learns faster when it practices it the way it'll actually perform. I asked for scenarios. Almost every single person in that room at the same time said the person who needed feedback the most was the hotel GM, their general manager. He wasn't in the room. He was actually holding down the fort while his 50 leaders were there with me. I said, "What does your general manager do that needs feedback?" The answers came fast. "He's a jerk. He's a hypocrite. He's an asshole." I said, "Hold on, that's judgment. We don't deal in judgment. We deal in behaviors. Give me the specific behaviors that he's demonstrating." And they did. Without hesitation, a full list with the impact of those behaviors that we're having on the team. I looked at the room and said, "I'll be right back. I'm going to go get your general manager." Every face went white. I gave the GM some quick coaching and then brought him in. And the feedback, properly framed around behavior, not judgment, started like this. Our goal is to improve the relationship between you and your team. Every Monday morning, you walk in from the parking lot, go straight to your office, no eye contact, no hello to anyone in the front desk, and then your door is shut for hours. That was the behavior. This impact, the team feels invisible, like they'd done something wrong every single Monday. It felt like they were being asked to deliver 5-star service while the person running the place didn't value his own team enough to say even good morning. The GM was present. He listened. He didn't get defensive. He summarized what he heard, asked a few clarifying questions, and responded. I go straight to my office on Mondays because I'm doing my best to handle everything that built up over the weekend so you all don't have to deal with it. Honestly, I didn't realize I wasn't stopping to say hello. That's a super easy fix, and I'll keep my door open so you always know you can come in. The weight lifted out the room was visible. The attitude shift was tangible. Trust built in real time. If that feedback had never been shared, that entire team would have kept walking around with a story that wasn't even true, believing their GM didn't care about them while he had no idea anything was wrong. That's what's at stake. Learn not just how to give feedback, but how to receive it, because that's where leadership actually lives. Grab the free feedback playbook in the description. Everything from today is in there. In my last video, I broke down why you should stop being so positive all the time as a leader. If you haven't seen it, watch it right here. If this hits home, send it to a leader who needs to hear it. I'll see you on the next one.